For this week's creature, we're going to head all the way down to the sun-kissed shores of Okinawa to look at a ghost that's said to haunt people on the road. A ghost that seems to share many characteristics with some famous creatures on the mainland. This week, we're looking at Hichimajimun, and this is one nasty spirit you don't want to run into. First, a little background on the name. The Majimun, from the end of its name, comes from the Okinawan language and means a demon or evil spirit. In Japanese, this is said as Manomono, but in Okinawan it's Majimun. This creature can also be referred to simply as Hichi, but people mostly call it by its full name of Hichimajimun, the evil spirit Hichi. This ghost seems to have a long history, however, so depending on where you are, it might also be known as Shichihajimun, or even just Jimun. In other areas, it's also known as Shikimajimono. At any rate, these days they all tend to refer to the same spirit, or type of spirit. So let's uncover just what this fearsome creature is all about. The most popular version of Hichimajimun today combines the traits and characteristics of two very popular legends from mainland Japan, Turbo Granny and Akamanto. Just from those two names alone, you can probably already envision what this spirit is famous for. According to legend, Hichimajimun will approach people at crossings and junctions while they are out walking, and then make them lose their way. How does the evil spirit do this? With incredible speed, of course. It simply picks the person up and then runs off at speeds of over 100 kilometers an hour. I say we get all these speedy demons in a race to determine who is the fastest of all. But either way, it's not us. But where Turbo Granny likes to chase cars and confuse drivers, Hichimajimun simply likes to pick people up like the Flash and then drop them off somewhere entirely different. Probably a place they don't know, and then leave them stranded there. Rude. But if Hichimajimun is feeling particularly evil, then the speedy spirit might also ask you a question. Here comes the Akamanto portion of the legend. The spirit may decide to ask you, do you want red rice or do you want white rice? The red rice in question being sekihan, a common dish of rice mixed with red beans, and the white rice being plain old cooked rice. Neither of these things are terrible options. But sadly, just like Akamanto, it doesn't matter which one you choose. Both will result in a grisly fate. If you pick the red rice, it's said that Hichimajimun will force you to eat red dirt until you die. And if you pick white rice, they will speed you out into the ocean and make you drown on the white foam of the waves. Truly, this is a creature that does not care for your feelings and finds amusement in the creative ways it can mess you up. So, we have a speedy evil spirit that likes to find people walking on Okinawan roads. Depending on its mood, it may spirit you away to an entirely different location and leave you there, or it may ask you a question that will result in your demise either way. Surely there must be a way to recognize this creature, right? Sadly, not really. It's said that nobody knows what Hichimajimun looks like. We don't know whether it's a man or a woman, or young or old. We don't even know if it's one singular spirit or merely a type of spirit. All we do know is that people generally refer to it as an evil spirit and not a yokai. So, if you're into distinguishing monsters that way, that's all we know. There are some instances, however, where it's thought that Hichimajimun is a woman, but this seems to be specific to one area that later spread. It's thought that this version comes from Amami Oshima, which we can find just north of Okinawa. Here, she's thought to be a woman who died during a particularly difficult childbirth, and after that, she turned into a ghost with a fondness for spiriting people away. Makes sense, I suppose. But supposing you do run into Hichimajimun, or they run into you, which is more likely, is there anything you can do? Well, with a little prep work, you might be able to survive. It's said that the only way to survive is to wear a loincloth as a headband if you're a man. And if you're a woman, wear a kimono waistcloth on your head like a hair covering. That's it. If you go outside and don't want to be mysteriously spirited away, wear a loincloth on your head. Easy. It's possible this part of the story has actually been around for nearly a century now. Back in 1933, it said that Hichimajimun would actually sneak into houses unseen and then spirit people away. However, if it came across the occupants dressed just in their loincloths, well, it would run away in fear. Understandable. Interestingly, a few decades later, another method developed to deal with the spirit. Because it's also known as Shichimajimun, with Shichi also being how you say 7, if you wanted to defeat the creature, then you could one-up it by screaming Hachi at it instead. Hachi meaning 8, of course. Clearly, the spirit would be no match for your mastery of numbers, and it would leave you alone. That doesn't seem to be the case these days, however, so perhaps the spirit got over its fear of numbers. We may never know. At any rate, it seems that short of wearing a loincloth on your head, if you happen to be unlucky enough to run into Hichimajimun while out and about on Okinawa, it's game over. Prepare to enjoy some delicious red earth or white foamy water. Or maybe just starvation wherever they decide to drop you off, which could be in the mountains, the forests, or even the deep sea. Hichimajimun sure is a whimsical spirit and seems to just follow whatever their particular urge is for the day. But what did you guys think of this one? Do you have any similar legends where you're from? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.